And we are live. StreamYard says we are live, and I believe it. StreamYard doesn't usually lie to us. So, good afternoon or good morning in the extreme unlikelihood that you're outside the UK. Actually, you probably are. There's probably some American peoples watching this. I kind of hope there is. It is a glorious Friday afternoon here in the West Midlands of England. And we have a very special guest this afternoon, as you can see. Last week on the Thank Flip It's Friday session, I was on my own in a very noisy cafe bar, part of a hotel in London. I'm very grateful for everybody who stuck with us because there was quite a lot of background noise. But there isn't today. It's all calm and peaceful, isn't it? Jim Niswonger.
Yes, it is, and I'm not that familiar with colors on the color wheel, but I think we're almost opposites of orange and purple. I think are pretty opposite on the color wheel, so that in itself is interesting.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. Well, we're definitely a colourful pair, aren't we? Nobody could argue with that.
Exactly.
So good morning, Mel, and good morning, Steve, and everybody else who is watching. Now, if you are watching this live, just a little bit of housekeeping, please. First of all, please engage. Give us some thumbs, give us some hearts. Give us a yay, first of all. If you can hear this okay, if the audio quality is to your liking, give us a heart or give us a yes. Say, yep, I can hear you guys, because that's really important to us. We have some controls there. If it's not working well enough, we just shout yeah or something. But the other bit of housekeeping is really, really important, because we've got this funky little thing going on with Facebook versus StreamYard, and I'm framing it like that. You'll understand why, because Facebook doesn't let StreamYard have access to your name in the comments thread unless you give it permission. So if you're watching this on Facebook, you'll see just above the video window, there was a little sentence that says, I'm going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name. Just got to click on that thing. Because at the moment, we've got somebody who says Facebook user, and with the best will in the world, I can't guess who you are because there's 2.5 billion of you. So it would be hard for me to guess your name, wouldn't it? So please grant StreamYard permission. Or if you don't want to do that, next to your yes Facebook user, if you just say, yes, this is blah, 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 and put your name so I'll know you are. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, enough of this frippery. We have a really, really important session today. And, you know, it's our goal to make, indeed, every one of these Friday sessions count. Make them really, really important trainings. Because, you know, you show up on some of these things and they're desperately disappointing. It's either somebody selling something to you for half an hour, or even worse, they're talking about themselves or talking about something that's of no interest to you. We don't want to do that, do we, Jim? We want to actually give some real value and put in front of you some training that you can go in and implement straight away so that it has a direct impact on your business. And we're almost up at 20 people watching this live now, which is absolutely brilliant. So welcome to all of you. Give us a yay, give us some thumbs, give us some hearts in the comments, because the more you engage, the more people, Facebook and LinkedIn for that matter, will show this too. I just want to have a quick shout out to this platform that we're using. If any of you are curious about how to make your live streams look and feel as good as this, we can only take part of the credit for that because this is a fantastic platform. It's called StreamYard. And StreamYard allows us to simultaneously broadcast this live session to Facebook. And indeed, we are doing that to both the GHM Facebook groups, including the Academy. We're also broadcasting it to my business page at Jonny Cooper Global. So welcome if you're watching from there. We're broadcasting it to my personal profile, to my LinkedIn profile. And as a side gig, we're broadcasting it to Twitter. I don't know if anybody's watching this live on Twitter. If you are, why? Welcome. And it's landing in YouTube as well. So Billiana says hello. Mimi says hello. That's brilliant. Bridget Bath is watching this and she's got no sentence. Oh, what a shame. Yeah, well, we'll probably know it's you, Bridget. And if you comment over the next half an hour or anything else, just pop your name by the comments so we'll know it's you. Great. So we're very much live, without a doubt. It's all working, Jim. So the topic for today is this hottest of hot potatoes, isn't it? Which is your ideal client. And as I said, when I put together the little promo for this, it's a very common misunderstanding we find amongst the highly skilled therapists, highly skilled life coaches amongst you, where you have this feeling that you can help everyone. The trouble with that, although it's correct on the surface, you can help a wide range of people, can't you, with a wide range of issues. Although that's true on the surface, the problem comes when you try to find a cross-section of everyone. And, you know, as the great Seth Godin said memorably in his This Is Marketing book, he said, if you try and appeal to everyone, you'll appeal to no one. And there's a number of reasons for that, isn't there, Jim? What's the number one reason why that just doesn't work in your experience? If you try and appeal to everyone, you'll appeal to no one. Why is that true?
Yeah, for me, the way I see the number one reason for that is that different people have different motivations, and people are going to buy because of their motivation. And so if we are trying to appeal to everyone, we have to assume some general broad interest, which means that it's probably not very intense. And so it's like, okay, yeah, we might be able to find topics that almost everyone is generally interested in, but we want people who are intensely interested in some challenge that they have or a goal that they want to achieve.
Yeah, and I think you know, one of the things that we see happen regularly, and drop a comment in about your experience here. If you're watching this live, do engage and interact with this. If this has ever happened to you, you've asked a very wide, broad question, which has nonetheless enticed your audience to respond and encourage them to respond. Like, you know, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? That has become the archetypal whipping boy of an engagement question, right? And you've got 87 people who've said, you know, pistachio. 43 people have said caramel. Yeah, I'm not very good on ice cream, but you get the idea. The trouble with that kind of engagement, it's not useful engagement, is it? It's just noise, because you can't glean anything from those responses with such a vague, wide question about who looks like your next ideal client. And when we're engaging on social media, we need our engagement to be useful. We need it to signpost us to our next potential ideal client or clients. So I think, Jim, that this is what you were saying. You know, you can flatter yourself, can't you, with generalities, and it's not that you won't get any engagement, but it just won't take you anywhere, will it?
Right, exactly. And it's very easy to get people to quite often comment on things that I heard this distinction recently that I just really love, of the difference between moaning problems and moving problems, where there are a lot of things that we like to moan about, but we really don't have much intention of doing anything about it. And so we can get engagement on the moan, but we want people who want to move.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. Steve Engstrom says vanity engagement versus strategic engagement. That's a really good way of putting it, isn't it? That makes perfect sense. So if we all accept, and I hope we agree, give us a yay if you agree that we should be seeking a particular client avatar with a particular demographic and psychographic markers. Can we just get some agreement on that? If you think that's a good idea, shout yay. Steve's gone yes straight away on that. Give us a yay if you agree with that, if you think that makes sense. I'm just opening actually a really cool little scrub sheet which Jim and I put together about the thoughts on this. You want to talk, don't you, Jim, about yeah, we've got some yeses. Mimi, Steve, Melanie, Diane, Facebook user, Mimi. Yeah, listen, guys, do not be shy here. Give us a yay if you think that is universally true. Oh, and here's Arshia. Hello, Arshia, my very good friend from South Africa. We only met today for the first time, but Arshia has come across as a very passionate and devoted coach to her tribe of Muslim ladies and couples who are looking to get married and wrestle with all the, cultural and personal feelings that come from that. So good to see you here, Arshia. Jim, you would like to talk about something you've termed the Maslow effect.
Yes, yes.
What is this, and what does this have to do with this client avatar thing? Because I know Maslow as this kind of hierarchy of needs thing, but
Right.
it's more
Yes.
it's more than that, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is something different from a quote from Maslow, and I'll paraphrase. I don't have the exact words, but it is basically, he who is good with a hammer tends to think of everything as a nail. And so one of the
Right.
challenges that we have, that it's just part of this, it seems like built in, like how we determine what's important to ourselves as a human being is what we've invested time, energy, effort, money into. And for most of us, we've spent a heck of a lot of all of those investing in our profession, in our expertise. And so
Yes.
it is very important for us. It's unconsciously highly important to us. And we're walking around the world looking at it through this lens. And so then we see, oh, I see how to fix that. Oh, you just need to change this. You need to change that. And so just to give this example, I was thinking about, so I was in this high-end mastermind, $20,000 a year. And once in a while, we would have our 3-day meetings. And so then each person would have a chance in the hot seat to talk about whatever issues that they were dealing with.
Yes.
And then afterwards, there would be passing the microphone through the rest of us to give either a thought or a suggestion. And there was one person who, every time the microphone came to her, we were guaranteed to know what she was going to say. She was going to say, you need a better story. You need to tell a better story. Everybody. And so it was totally unnecessary, but she was so focused on this because she had invested so much into, hey, you can get more clients by telling a better story. You can do this, you can do that, you can. And so it becomes this weird thing that turns people off.
Yeah, no, I get that. So the Maslow effect is that you've got a fantastic hammer, so you want to see everything as a nail, or you start seeing everything as a nail. That's a very powerful analogy, isn't it? Give us a yeah if you like that. Give us some hearts and thumbs if you like that idea. And I can see a couple of names in this chat thread already in the comments, where I know for a fact that you are inordinately skilled. You've learned this skill set, and you now feel that you can deploy it on every occasion when it might work. When it might actually heal a particular wound. Yeah, Jim, I can sort of extend on that a little bit just by saying that it isn't our job to heal the world. It isn't our job to help everybody. That isn't what we signed up for, is it? You could say that, when we use the word job, that suggests an important corollary, doesn't it? Which is actually getting paid. If you're doing a job, you're getting paid. And if you listen to Seth Godin's wisdom, if you're trying to appeal to everyone, you'll appeal to no one. That can't be a job then, can it? Because you're not going to get paid for that if you appeal to no one.
Right.
So let's be clear. The route to getting paid is to intelligently select, because that's what it is. It's your selection. It's your choice. You make a decision on a particular client avatar who, number one, benefits from what you do. In other words, they have a big, expensive problem that only you can solve, preferably. Number two, they're visible to you, so you can find them in numbers by some demographic marker, or what we call a visible identification marker, a VIN, if you like. And thirdly, that they can afford to pay you. So there's that three-legged stool, if you like. The benefit they get, the visibility of them you have, and thirdly, the affordability, the fact they can afford to pay you. Now, beyond that, there are probably a wide range of options. And Jim, can you speak for a bit about why this might still be confusing? Because there are still then, aren't there, a wide range of possible client avatars that people could select from.
Yeah.
How do you pick one, beyond knowing those things to be
Yeah.
true?
So one of the ways that I think about this, that I have a different perspective than most people about where the value lies in this equation of us working with clients. So we tend to believe that the value is in our expertise, in what we know and what we can do, and all of that stuff. And
Yes.
while I don't dispute that, that isn't as helpful a perspective to me as seeing that the value is in the transformation that happens for the client, that they are in an unresolvable situation on their own and have a high desire for a specific result. So the value is moving them, the move that they want to make, because they're the ones that establish what the value is. And the value
Yes.
is in the context of their lives, not in the context of our expertise. Our expertise is the bridge or the vehicle that moves them, but the
Yes.
value is in the context of their lives and their situation.
Yeah, I love this. I was just talking today actually with Arshir, I think this morning, about the washing machine repair analogy, and you've probably used this before, but it is one of my favorites. And this requires you to imagine that your washing machine's bust and it's out water all over the kitchen floor. You're wading 2 or 3 inches of water, at the very least. So you got on the phone in a panic, or you find some way to contact the washing machine repair guy. I guess it's usually a guy even these days. And he shows up, and instead of going in the kitchen, he walks in your lounge and sits down. And he unzips his tool bag and he tips it out on the floor and goes, look at this hammer. Oh, look at this screwdriver. This wrench, this monkey wrench. I don't know if you call them that in the States, but monkey wrench, that thing with a little spiral thing on it. Yeah, it opens its jaws. And he says, look, this monkey wrench is the best that money can buy. In fact, it was handed down from my dad, who was a washing machine repair guy before me. And I can guarantee this is the best monkey wrench that you're going to see, this side of Christendom. You'd go, just fix my washing machine, right? Fix my washing machine. I'm not interested. And this tells you, doesn't it, that not only at the stage of attracting your clients are people very little interested in your tools, not at all, in fact, but even when you're working with them, they're far less interested in the tools in your tool bag than they are in the outcome that you're going to create for them. And I think if more of us showed up as that washing machine repair guy who was, going to knock your door down to walk into the kitchen and fix the leak, that would serve us a lot better, wouldn't it, than blathering on about the new tools that we've just got,
Right.
or the new certificate that we've just got, the new accreditation. I saw a lady just last week who said, I'm an accredited life coach. Look at this. And she actually put the certificate up. She was holding it in a frame, in a selfie. And, people are nice, aren't they? People are nice and kind. And I can guarantee this lady has been confused and befuddled by the engagement she got from that. There was more than 100 people on that post who went, congratulations, well done. You've worked so hard for this. You deserve this. And she's got a nice warm glow now. She believes she's got a business because look at all these people who've engaged with her.
Yes. And so, this also related to one of my favorite books from Seth Godin is The Dip, where he talks about this, like this initial ways that we get the highs about what we're doing. So she got a high that way. You can get a high with a new website. Hey,
it's a dopamine rush,
look at my new website. you
It's a
can get the
dopamine
same
rush.
sort of congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Guys, let's be a bit raw here. It's a Friday. Let's be raw and honest. Has anybody here felt inordinately smug, self-satisfied, pleased with themselves when somebody's congratulated them for something like that, some kind of a side issue which doesn't actually generate any more business on reflection? Who's felt like that? Who's shown people something that I've done it? My goodness. I'll post a picture on holiday of the three of us, my little family, as I call it, because it's, there's only the three of us, and Oscar is quite small. He's only 6. I can guarantee if I show a nice smiley picture of us on some seafront somewhere, it'll get loads of engagement. And yeah, it makes me feel good, but crikey, is it moving my business forward? I'm not so sure. Maybe it is. People see me as a 3D human, but there's got to be something after that, hasn't there, Jim, that connects people to how I can really help them. I'm reading something you haven't got the benefit of. Actually, just before I do that, I'll just read out Mel's comment here. Some of you can't see it. Our very good friend Mel Hare. I was so pleased with my new look Facebook group name and banner. Yeah, I do that as well all the time. I've had loads of engagement about it. Then I asked a searching question in the group. Note, Jim, is English slang for nothing.
Right. Yeah. I've watched some of the British TV shows now. Summit.
Now,
I know about Summit as well.
No, it's neither. Well, up north, we would say if something is inconsequential, we'd say it's neither nout nor summit.
Okay. All right. I like
neither
that.
of those things. Nout nor summit. Jim, you teased us, or you teased me in a Google Doc earlier this week with the following. What simple 4-word question predicts how worried you should be that the Maslow effect is snatching ideal clients from right under your nose? So let's read that again. A simple 4-word question. I'm assuming, Jim, you've remembered what this is.
Yep.
A simple 4-word question that predicts how worried you should be, dear listeners and viewers, that the Maslow effect is snatching clients from right under your nose. What is that simple 4-word question, Jim? Can you remember?
Can I help everyone? And so if my dial is way over here on the yes, I can help everyone, I should be worried that the Maslow effect, if I'm back here on the no, then all right, I probably have a decent perspective. But if I'm like, yes, I can help everyone, that's to be kind of like the
Can
dial.
I help everyone? Well, yeah, I mean, I'd go even deeper into that and say in general in life, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should, does it?
Right, exactly.
There's very few things that you should be doing at any one particular time. That's really interesting. Jim, just open up on this next one, because that's a fantastic framing, isn't it? I love that.
Yeah.
Can I help everyone? Why does the Maslow snowball make you the least qualified person to know exactly how to counteract that in your business?
Yeah. So
what is the Maslow snowball?
Yeah, for me, when I'm thinking of the Maslow snowball, it's back to that continual investment in what I'm passionate about, what I'm good at. And what happens is that the better I become at what I do, the more of it disappears into my unconscious. So just to use like an example of riding a bicycle, by the time most children, if they learn to ride at like 4, 5, 6 years of age, by the time that they're 9, 10, 12 years old, they're really great at riding the bicycle, but they have very little awareness as to how they're riding the bicycle. It doesn't require much attention. And so the better we get at what we do, it disappears into our assumptions. And so we assume that when we talk about things, they mean the same thing to us as they do to other people. And so
yes.
We're not meeting them at their level of understanding.
Yes. So this could apply to, some of the more unusual modalities that people have learned some of the therapies, for example, which as a 2 or 3 word concept mean nothing to anybody else apart from
Right.
us.
And we get into
Yeah.
these conversations in our peer groups where we can really thoroughly geek out on these things and like, oh yeah, there's somebody who understands. And so then we start assuming that, oh, that could mean something to other people when it's not at all in their personal vocabulary in the way
Yeah.
that it is for us.
I think a good example of this, which is very common, it's a very common modality, is the 4 levels of NLP training. You know, the NLP practitioner, the master practitioner, the trainer, and the master trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And the distinction between those is almost always going to be lost on a potential client, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Who
Mm-hmm.
cares not at all, really.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, that's really interesting. And the Maslow snowball then means that the more skill you get, the more you it becomes part of your vernacular, I guess, as well. And you just
Right.
wear this like a jacket. This is what I do. Whereas, of course, that actually isn't what you do for your clients.
Right.
Um,
And just if I can go back to that story about the woman that kept telling that, oh, you just need to tell a better story. You need to tell a better story. What was
I guess she was a storytelling coach, was she?
exactly.
Yes.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so then what she basically did, besides becoming irritating in that group because everybody's doing the same thing
Besides
over and
becoming
over,
irritating. Yes.
is that she commoditized her expertise because how fast on a Google search can I find trainings, information about telling stories?
Yes.
It's so widespread that she basically turned herself into a commodity by that
Into a
repetition.
commodity. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lesson, isn't there, for anyone who's got a modality. If you're watching this and you've trained in something, the likelihood of you being the only person on the planet to have trained in that thing is very small, isn't it? In the extreme. Mimi's just backing that up with another great analogy. Her husband grew up with a carpenter father, and he was amazed that not everyone knew how to use a tape measure. Yeah,
Yeah.
and not everybody wants to either. And that's the real kicker, isn't it? Even if you can educate your audience, which I would suggest is a largely fruitless task, in the wonders of your skill set, they might not want to know anyway. It might not be of any interest to them at all. So, Jim, who is most susceptible to burning themselves out by trying to outwork the Maslow effect? Just when I think of the answer to that, I've got to say hello to Emma Cowell, who is my personal trainer, and she's responsible for these gorgeous guns, which you can almost see here.
All
Emma
right.
Cowell, hello, my dear. How lovely to see you. So she's here. So who is most susceptible to burning themselves out while trying to outwork the Maslow effect? What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So to me, this relates to that Maslow snowball, and just that the better we get, just the more that it seems that we can be lured into over investing in the messaging that hasn't been working, even though it's failing, because it's back to we were talking about that what's it called, the loss aversion bias, what the we were talking about that the other day, where we've invested heavily, and so we're likely to keep investing even though the evidence suggests like nope, this message is not working. But
well, this is very interesting. It might be worth just digging into this a bit now, because one of the things that stops people, in my experience, landing on a viable client avatar is that exactly that they've invested time and energy and emotion and money, probably time, energy, and money. Those are the three on in a particular direction. It's called the sunk cost bias.
Yeah, there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the definition of a sunk cost. This is getting quite interesting, actually. Jim and I have to tell you, if you're watching this live, Jim and I offline have many pseudo-intellectual discussions, you might want to call it, where we do dig deep into some of this stuff. But the sunk cost, the idea of a sunk cost is this. It is time, expense, or energy expended in the past which has no bearing on your future success. All right? This is something you've set up and done and put time and energy into in the past, which has no bearing on your future success. In other words, it hasn't worked yet and it's never going to work. Whereas what most people tend to do is say, well, I've got to make this work. I spent so much time doing this. I spent so much time doing this. If you're a house builder, you wouldn't do that, would you? If you'd built up halfway and none of the walls lined up, you wouldn't keep on building it, would you? You'd knock it down and start again if there's something wrong with the plans or something like that. Yeah, have you ever seen that famous, I think it's a doctored Photoshop, but I want it to be true. It's these guys building a bridge somewhere over a gorge and they start at two sides.
All right.
And the roadways are like 40 meters apart. There's no way you can make those roads meet ever, is there? You have to actually knock the bridge down, or at least one side of it, and start again completely.
Right.
And this is this willingness to hang on to things which are actually sunk costs, and just admit that you've got to start.
And there are even studies that show that sometimes the stronger the evidence that we're off track, the more the tendency to double down on that thing, just be out of this like we have, these memes throughout the cultural memes for hundreds of years now, or at least the last 100 years, of winners never quit, quitters never win. You can't quit. And so, okay, then I can't follow that rule and achieve my goal.
I'm more of I regard Kenny Rogers as the philosopher to follow on that. In the song "The Gambler," he says you got to know when to hold them, you got to know when to fold them. Yeah. And ain't that true?
Exactly.
You ain't going to win at poker if you try and win every hand.
No, right.
If you refuse to leave the table. Oh my God, how interesting. Jim, you also said, now we can probably sort of finish on this thought, because where we've got to today, just to kind of round up, if you're trying to appeal to everyone, you'll appeal to no one. And the idea that you can help everyone might be true on the surface. However, you ain't going to find a tribe of everyone chomping at the bit to work with you. That isn't how it works, is it? And also, there is no demographic representation of affordability in a cross-section of everyone.
Right.
What I'm trying to say is, if you're trying to appeal to everyone, you're more likely to find a whole bunch of people who can never afford to pay you. Because in the developed world these days, where most of you are working, I'm assuming, in the States, across Europe, there's a very low level in the general public of savings, of disposable income. I saw a survey recently. It's probably getting worse with inflation like it is now, but 85% of UK households have less than a month's expenses in the bank. 85% of UK households would be sunk in a month if their source of earnings dried up, right? So that means that if you try and appeal to everyone, you're going to be drawing in a cross-section of the general public who've got no money.
Yeah.
Apart from making marketing almost impossible. So what a lovely drum to be banging on a Friday afternoon. This question, your final question, Jim, is how do you survive and thrive while the Maslow effect is taking out your competitors? This is great, and I love this idea because, if you regard your modalities, your therapy skills or your life coaching skills as things that other people have too, you're probably right. So you've got to get out of the commoditization game, haven't you? You've got to get out of the thing about saying, well, do you know what? They're charging $45 an hour, so I can't charge any more than that. And even worse, to say I'm going to undercut them and charge a bit less than that. How do we avoid this, Jim? How do we survive and thrive and let the Maslow effect take out them rather than you? How do we do this?
So here's my thought on it is that so we can try to address a specific painful dilemma in our market, or we can try to address a general concern. So here's the difference. The general concern is once again kind of in that area of a moaning problem of like, oh, I wish this was better. It would be nice if this was better. But then when
Yes.
I define a painful dilemma is something from my perspective that a person has already put effort into trying to resolve themselves. They've already demonstrated their own commitment.
Yes.
They bring resources and capabilities to the table that haven't resolved this yet.
And it hasn't
And
worked
so,
yet. Yeah.
so we join in to partner with them to get a new result versus thinking like, okay, hey, you've never worked on this thing, but how about if you start working on it now? It hasn't
Yes.
bothered you enough.
Agree that there's a big element of you marching in saying you've tried the rest, now try the best kind of thing. That's a very sort of glib overview, but yeah, this thing you've been working on, it hasn't worked. I think also, it's part of our messaging there should be about explaining to them that these are the things they've tried haven't worked, and this is why it hasn't worked before. Because then that gives us a bit of space, doesn't it, to say, but if we try this instead, this is going to work.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really powerful, isn't it? And it does move us away then from being this commodity who's just going to do the same as everybody else.
Right.
And you'll find this with your clients. They'll often challenge you by saying, well, I've been working with this person who does something very similar to what you do. I think it's our duty to say, hold up, cowboy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They might be doing similar to what a lot of other people are doing,
Mm-hmm.
but there ain't no way they're doing anything similar to what I'm doing. And here's why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's a really powerful frame.
Yeah, and so if somebody is working on something and it hasn't resolved, there's a fundamental issue that they haven't identified. And whoever they've worked with hasn't identified it either. So our opportunity is right in there. Like, no, here's why everything you've been trying isn't working. And fortunately, that's my specialty.
Yeah. So for those of you watching this live who have, skills in therapy, in life coaching, let's dig deeper in NLP, in hypnotherapy, in EFT, you are not competing with other EFT practitioners, with other hypnotherapists. You are competing fundamentally with your ideal clients' malaise oftentimes, so they don't want to do anything at all. But you may well be competing with their lack of belief that anything at all is going to help them now because they've tried all this other stuff. So positioning ourselves here with our ideal clients is you riding in on a white horse. You are this. Is it a white knight or a white horse? I can never remember. Probably both white.
Yeah.
There's a lot of whiteness going on here. But you're riding in as this person who, them having tried all the other things, now they're going to try this thing with you, which is going to work and is head and shoulders above anything they've tried before. Jim, it's been absolutely brilliant having you here. We have to end. We could go on all night. I'm sure there'll be people sitting here watching, but we ain't going to do that. We'll be back next week with another Thank Flip It's Friday, where what we're going to be doing, as we have done today, we're going to flip some commonly held misconceptions about the way the world works, about the way our clients think, about the way our businesses can succeed. And hopefully we're going to point you in the right direction. Some of these flips will be relatively minor, but I think a flip from today felt like a 180, didn't it? From this belief that you can help everyone to a belief that you really shouldn't even try to do that. Any final words from you, Jim, just to put the icing on the cake for us?
I thought I might have something new and brilliant to say, but nothing new. It's been a pleasure though, and just a great opportunity to chat with you again and to visit with the audience here.
Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic. So we'll see you all next week, same time. Tell your friends about it and colleagues, because these flipping Fridays are awesome. We're loving it, and we hope you are too. Have a fantastic weekend. See you next week. Love you lots.